She went to Rasulullah and she said, how dare Ali ibn Abi Talib enter my house and take the people away? Rasulullah replied, Ali ibn Abi Talib is never angry except for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Whether you are his sister or you are not does not matter. The fact that your husband was shielding enemies of Allah, your relationship breaks there and then. Therefore the second in the criteria was what? That a companion is firm against the disbelievers. The third criteria is that the companion is one who has mercy between each other. Against the disbelievers they are firm, but between each other they are merciful. That Rasulullah was seen as the door of mercy. Rasulullah wanted to show his companions that in the same way Allah wants you to be merciful with each other, let me be the sign of mercy for you. Because do you know when this verse was revealed, Rasulullah, when he opened Mecca, he said, I have entered Mecca, but I am willing to forgive my enemies. I am willing to forgive them. He tried to show them mercy. When he said, I am showing mercy on the day of the opening of Mecca, one person who was scared of Rasulullah was Wahshi. Who was Wahshi? The man who killed Hamza in the battle of Uhud. You remember when the spear was thrown? Hamza's chest got opened up. Muawiyah's mother came and ate his liver. Wahshi was the black Abyssinian slave who threw the spear. He had been waiting for so long to ask for forgiveness from Rasulullah. Rasulullah on that day, he wanted to show his companions that I want to show you that you have to be firm against the disbelievers, but merciful between yourselves. Wahshi had read the Shahada after killing Hamza. He had said, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa anna Muhammadan Rasulullah, but he had never met Rasulullah since that day. And Rasulullah since that day had never stopped crying for his uncle. Wahshi was told, come and see Rasulullah, but cover your face. And come and say to him, Ya Rasulullah, I have come to ask for forgiveness. You would think a man who killed the uncle who looked after you when you were young, you would think you wouldn't show mercy towards him. When Wahshi came in, he said, Ya Rasulullah, I swear that there is no God but God and that you are his messenger. Rasulullah said, you are more than welcome, enter. Who are you? He said, I am Wahshi. Rasulullah straight away began to shed tears. He remembered his uncle. He said, do you know I have not seen you since the day you killed my uncle? How did you kill him? Because I never saw what happened. He said, I was looking through the battlefield. Your uncle, when he used to fight, his stance was very open. I wanted to kill you, but you had too many people around you. And I wanted to kill the son of Abu Talib. But the son of Abu Talib is like a wolf on the battlefield. That when you throw something towards him, he turns round and captures it before it comes. He says, so I saw your uncle. Your uncle was a brave man. He tells him the whole story. But he says, your uncle has one problem. When he fights, his stance is open. His sword goes wide. Because his sword goes wide, the spear was easy for me to cut. So he said, what did you do to my uncle? He said, Muawiyah's mother hated your uncle. So she said, rip open his heart. Rip his whole chest open. And she said to me, cut his liver piece by piece. I want to chew it. He said she tried to chew it, but every time she tried, she would vomit it out. That it was a mercy from Allah that she never chewed it. Rasulullah said, what do you want on this day? He said, Ya Rasulullah, I want to ask for your forgiveness. It has stayed with me until today. Rasulullah said, I have come as a mercy to mankind. In the same way, I should be merciful to the people. We want Allah to be merciful to us. He said, Wahshi, go away. You are forgiven by me today. Rasulullah wanted this in his companions. He wanted them to be merciful between themselves. But did they show mercy between themselves or no? One group of them did, another group never. The group that did were people like Amir al-Mu'mineen. That Amir al-Mu'mineen is the very meaning of the word Sahabi. That Amir al-Mu'mineen in the battle of Nahrawan, when they were fighting each other, he was fighting against the swordsman. Look at the mercy of Ali ibn Abi Talib, against the army that tries to kill him. He was fighting against this swordsman, and when he was fighting him, Dhul Fiqar would capture your sword in the middle. So he captured the swordsman's sword and he bought it, and he had both the swords in his hand. The swordsman was now alone on the ground. The swordsman looked at him and he said, I've heard that you never reject a person when he asks you something. So he said to him, ask me. He said, I want my sword back. He said, take it. He said to him, how could you give me my sword back when I've tried to kill you? He said, I am here not to fight and kill people like you. I am here to try and bring you towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The person straight away said, I want to join your army. Imam said, don't join my army because of me. Join my army because you want to join justice against injustice. Forget Ali ibn Abi Talib. I am simply a man who represents justice. But the criteria was that the true companions show mercy with each other. When Rasulullah died, what mercy was shown to people like Ammar ibn Yasir? Ammar ibn Yasir, Rasulullah said, is closer to me than the eye is closer to the nose. Rasulullah said, Ammar ibn Yasir is closer to me than the eye is as close to the nose. He said, Ammar ibn Yasir has faith from the head until his toe, the whole of faith. Rasulullah said, Ammar bin Yasir will be killed by infidels. Do you know what they did to Ammar bin Yasir? Read the history. Because the thing that kills me about the school of Ahlul Bayt is that many of the followers don't read their own history, let alone outside. Ammar bin Yasir, when he spoke out against the governors, and he spoke out against Uthman. Ammar, companion. Uthman, companion. Quran says they have to show mercy to each other. Ammar spoke out. He said, what you are doing is unjust. Giving the government's money to your family. Do you know what they did to Ammar bin Yasir? They tortured him by kicking him in his testicles until he had a hernia. A hernia, Ammar bin Yasir. And then they began beating him that for 3 days he remained unconscious. Mercy? Which mercy? And that he was killed in Siffin by whom? By Muawiyah. And that the idea the Quran gave us was that the true companion will never kill another companion. That they would show mercy with each other. Ammar on the day of Siffin was killed by Muawiyah. When he was killed by Muawiyah, they said to Muawiyah, they turned around, they said to Muawiyah, Rasulullah said, Ammar will be killed by infidels. You have just killed Ammar. Therefore your group is infidels. Do you know what Muawiyah replied? I didn't kill Ammar bin Yasir. Then who did? He said, Ali ibn Abi Talib killed him. Why? He said, Ali ibn Abi Talib brought him to war. So because he brought him to war, he's the cause of his death. Ali ibn Abi Talib replied, that means Rasulullah killed his uncle Hamza because he brought him to war. You're the one who killed Ammar bin Yasir there and then. The Quran said, Muhammadun Rasulullah. والذين معه أشداء على الكفار رحماء بينهم تراهم ركعا سجدا يبتغون فضلا من الله ورضوانا. You find them always in ruku' and always in sujood, seeking the pleasure of Allah. Does this mean that these companions the whole day they stayed in ruku' and sujood the whole day? No. Islam does not say a companion stays the whole day in ruku' and the whole day in sujood. It meant that these companions, when the time for salah came, they would never miss that time. That the true companion of Rasulullah, when salah came on time, he would be there straight away. Rasulullah instituted this with his companions. That do you know when Rasulullah, there were times he would go and pray on time. When he would go and pray, Abu Jahl would collect the feces of the sheep. When Rasulullah would be in sujood at the time of salah, Abu Jahl would come and throw the feces on his head while he's in sujood. The Quran said to the companions that for you to be termed the true companion of Rasulullah, the criteria is what? Is not that you pray the whole day and night. Is that when salah comes, you are the type of people who are always the first in salah. That's why when you come and see this area of salah, you come and see that the greatest sign of the believer, when he wants to be alongside the 12th Imam, is that he is amongst the people